Hello and welcome back to Why You're Wrong, the show where we put some of football's biggest narratives under the microscope to separate fact from fiction and find out what you might be missing. And today we're going to look at both sides of the question gripping football Twitter as the end of the season approaches. Did Arsenal bottle the Premier League, and how much of it is Arteta's fault? For everyone already writing angry comments about me defending Arsenal, don't worry, we've got criticism coming up later, but we start with Arteta's side of the argument. The Gunners may have finally given up top spot to Manchester City in match week 33 before reclaiming it, but prior to that they'd held it for 11 consecutive weeks and 30 of 33 overall. And before you point out that that simply draws attention to the scale of the bottling, let's all be honest. Nobody, not even the most optimistic fans, expected this campaign back in August 2022. Arsenal had flubbed the end of the 21-22 campaign to cough up Champions League football to Spurs once again, and when the BBC did their infamous pundit predictions for the year ahead, only 8 of 23 put Arsenal in the top 4, and nobody placed them higher than 4th. They had finished 24 points off top spot with the 6th best attack and 8th best defence, and while they enjoyed a strong summer, bringing in Gabriel Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko, those were the only true first-team additions, with the other big money signing, Fabio Vieira, a prospect, while Marquinhos and Turner were meant to be squad players. William Saliba, meanwhile, was just a 21-year-old coming back from loan amid rumours he could be sold. There was no sense of destiny about this team. But despite all that, the night that Arsenal lost 4-1 to Manchester City at the Etihad, all but ending their title hopes, was also the night that Brighton's loss to Forest confirmed the Gunners would return to the Champions League for the first time since 2016. And if they end up with the 84 points predicted by 538, it'll be their best tally since the Invincibles and a total beaten just twice in the era of 3 points for a win. It'd be a 20-point jump on their average over the last half-decade, and while the club has quietly assembled a very young and exciting side, they are considerably ahead of schedule in contending at all, with Saka, Martinelli and Saliba all yet to hit 22, and a midfield absent the depth Arteta was looking for last summer, when they failed to add a backup 6. If they did ultimately bottle it, that was only possible because a huge leap forward put them in a position to do so. So in that light, it's perhaps more sensible to see the 50-point first half of the season as a colossal overperformance which was always likely to come back to earth, rather than seeing the eventual stumble as some head loss which handed the league to Manchester City. And that's the other part of this, the City side Arsenal face. Across Europe's top 5 leagues, Manchester City are rated the best side, putting up an XG difference of 1.3 on their opponents every game. They have the best attack, the 3rd best defence, they concede the fewest shots, they have the most possession, and of course they have the deadliest forward in the world, with Erling Haaland outscoring 26 of the 98 teams in the top 5 divisions by himself at the time of writing, as well as hitting more in all competitions than Chelsea. Since Arsenal and City played at the Emirates in mid-February, City have won all bar one of their games, picking up over 2.8 points a match, a rate which over a full season would work out to 105 points, more than in the best campaign in Premier League history by 5. If they do win the competition, it'll be the 5th time in 6 years, and they'll have averaged roughly 91 points a year in that period, while losing Jesus, Zinchenko, Sterling, Cancelo, Aguero, Sané, Silva, Fernandinho, Yaya Toure, and Vincent Kompany. They even let players go without anyone caring, who have since gone on to big fees and achievements elsewhere, like Pedro Porro, Brahim Diaz, Danilo, Douglas Luiz and Jack Harrison. This is not normal. Remember, peak Liverpool only beat this team to the title once, and it took insane injury fortune, Salah scoring 19, Mane scoring 18, the fullbacks combining for 25 assists, and allowing just 33 goals from 38 XG in defence for it to happen. Arsenal are the 2nd youngest team in the league to Brighton, with 3 21-year-olds in the first choice 11, and went through large stretches without their star centre-back and without their £50 million striker. Even if we agree with Erik ten Hag's assessment that Arsenal have generally had good injury luck, it's easy to see specific instances which have not been as favourable. Arsenal were meant to play City in November for the first time, when they were on a run of 7 wins and a draw in 8 games, and had a fully fit midfield and Gabriel Jesus up front. When the rearranged fixture eventually took place, the Gunners had Jorginho and Nketiah in the lineup. Not terrible, but not full strength. Would any coach have made that work? To flop, brick or bottle, there has to be some expectation that you actually win the thing, that not doing so would mean playing significantly below your level, making a mockery of probability. And as rival fans have made clear all season, no one expected Arsenal to do it. They were always going to drop below their otherworldly level and get caught by the most brutal and brilliant City side Guardiola has made yet. Look at Arteta's achievements at the Emirates. He won the FA Cup, he culled the deadwood, he developed the youngsters, rebuilt the squad, returned the club to the Champions League, and put them in a position to contend for seasons to come. It's amazing. Missing out by a handful of points doesn't undo that. His main problem has been raising expectations too high, too early. We can talk about predictions before the season and points per game and City's form all we want, but let's be honest. If Arsenal had closed out their games against Liverpool, West Ham and Southampton, losing 4-1 to City wouldn't really have mattered. Arsenal would be top by 2 points, still capable of racking up 96 by season's end, and with the Champions League semis looming, City would probably have put all their effort into that. Those results have cost Arsenal the title, and it's not all down to bad luck. Against Liverpool and the Hammers, Arsenal took 2-goal leads before retreating into their shell, and it was that which allowed the home sides to get back into the game. As Tottenham have recently shown, a team attacking Liverpool will get chances, but Arsenal sat back more and more, ultimately giving up an insane 4.6 XG to the Reds and dropping points from a 2-goal advantage for the first time under Arteta. And again, they didn't learn against West Ham. As analyst Scott Willis has pointed out, 74%, that's Arsenal's pass completion percentage from the 30th minute to the 67th minute against West Ham. 4, that's their number of final third entry passes completed from the 30th minute to the 67th minute. In the opening 30 minutes, they passed into the final third 15 times. In the final period after Jorginho came on, Arsenal did it 19 times. So what does that show us? Arsenal lost their heads. A 74% pass accuracy is way down on the season average of 85%. But Arteta reacted too late, allowing the middle third of the game to be all West Ham before the introduction of Jorginho got the Gunners firing again. Now, holding coming in for Saliba has been a problem in build-up. The Englishman made just 1 progressive pass against West Ham, where the Frenchman is normally closer to 4, and he wasn't helped by the fact Tierney was in for Zinchenko, who made 0 progressive passes, while the Ukrainian normally makes about 10 a game. And Holding's run in the side has coincided with a huge defensive collapse, with Arsenal conceding 11 in their 4 games before the Chelsea match, and allowing 8.5 passes into their penalty area each game in that period, compared to 5 per game across the season. So it was clear that the lack of composure and decline in defence were issues. But instead of trying something different, like bringing Jorginho in, as he did against Chelsea to give the team more control, or even moving White into centre-back, where he partnered Gabriel last year, Arteta rolled out the same system in game after game, including the decider at the Etihad, only making changes when forced to by injuries. To his credit, the manager doesn't like to pull an underperforming player from the lineup, demonstrating his faith by giving them the chance to improve. But when you need 90 plus points to compete for the league, that can cost you. Against Southampton, the central defenders looked like they had no idea where to be. Against City, Holding was constantly ragdolled, Thomas Partey looked completely out of it, and while Ben White had some good moments dropping into the central zone, he was frequently toasted by Grealish on the wing. City's ability to play out of the Arsenal press was perhaps a little bit overblown. The first goal was a blind long ball under pressure, which Haaland made something out of, and it still required a pinpoint finish from KDB to make it a goal. But Arsenal looked clueless by comparison, struggling to get into the middle third, let alone even higher upfield. Now that can happen. After all, City just walked over Bayern Munich in the Champions League. But it was obvious to everyone that the way that Arsenal were playing, their normal setup and 11 were not going to give them a fighting chance at the Etihad, while those previous results could have been avoided if Arteta had instructed his team to push upfield, or reconfigured his formation, or dropped some of the underperformers. Whether it was naivete or confidence is not really the point. The trophy will have blue ribbons on it at the end of the year. And if Arteta gets credit for putting Arsenal in a position to compete, he also gets criticism for overseeing their failure to see it through. So that's our look at both sides of the Arteta conversation, but which argument convinces you? Let us know in the comments. Remember to post your ideas for future episodes down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.